What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical. As always, hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. It was a little bit of a roller coaster ride of a weekend, I think I would say, for 40k this weekend. As if you watched my Monday video, Necrons absolutely destroyed the meta this week. Inky's got very strong opinions about Necrons, apparently. Necrons absolutely destroying everybody, it seems like. 5 Necron undefeated results. They won the largest event of the weekend. A lot of it might be dark horsing. Some people not really entirely aware of what they're getting into when they play against the Necron matchup. And also, obviously, Canoptic Court then saw some changes last week that were probably not reflected in this week's results. Although I think this coming weekend we'll probably see the same thing. So we have some big events to talk about. So one big event, obviously, Nottingham GT Supermajor, 345 players this past weekend that we can dive into the results of. We had a lot of smaller events, a lot of like 20 or 30 man events over the course of the past weekend, and then that's all leading up into LVO this weekend. So if we have some time towards the end of the show today, we can take a look at some LVO lists as well on the lead up to that. Although I don't know if those are live yet, so we may just have to just look sort of generically at the metagame and throw out some predictions. DL318 feel crappy about going to a tournament on the 27th. That said they won't use the data slate coming out on the 20th. I mean, is it a big tournament? If it's a GT, like a 5-round event, that's par for the course. If it's an RTT, like, I don't know, kick him in the butt. RTTs, in my opinion, should always use the most up-to-date rules. RTTs are like, they're the practice ground. That's where you should be grinding out your silly lists and getting experience. And if you're not playing with updated rules and you're not playing with and you're playing with painting standards, that makes that impossible, basically. If Necrons are so good, why are there only 2 undefeated out of 10 at Nottingham? There's only 1 undefeated at Nottingham, so that's probably why. There's only 1 Necron went undefeated because there was only 1 undefeated. It is an RTT DL? Yeah, that's a little bit funky. Yeah, that's kind of shitty, honestly, but it is what it is. It's up to the TO. They make decisions. Have we seen the Grey Knight GT winning list? Yeah, last 2 weeks, Grey Knights won GTs. Talked about the previous one on Tactical Tuesday last week, and I talked about the other one on the Monday show. Yesterday, the Monday video for sure. Hoping new data set will be out in time for GT on February 2nd. I assume that it would be. I would be shocked if we didn't see the data slate before the end of the month. But I guess like if your GT has a rules cut off, that might be weird. I'm also streaming a GT the weekend of February 2nd as well. I think 4th and 5th or whatever. The first weekend of February. So come here. It'll be on the YouTube channel. We're streaming the Captain Con GT. I think it's at 36 players right now, but it should be fun. A lot of local competition. And if you're at Captain Con, then you can come see me. I'll be there all weekend. If I'm not streaming the GT, I'll probably be at the Breachstorm booths doing Breachstorm stuff. And we're running some events. We're running an event on a Friday. So if you want a little Friday palette cleanser tournament, then you can register for that. And we may be doing some narrative events over the course of the weekend, although that's not 100% decided on yet. All right. Anyway, let's dive into these lists here. So here we are. I think what we're going to do is take a look at Nottingham, because it was the biggest event of the weekend, the biggest and most exciting event. So I talked about these 2 lists. I talked about Josh Roberts' Necrons. This one is a Canoptic Court. It was very heavily reliant on Immortals and the Immortal Bomb. This list is probably not particularly relevant anymore. What we do have is some Eldar. I don't know how exciting the Eldar is going to be. Look, a bunch of Night Spinners and a Wraithguard brick. What a time to be alive. Thanks, Eldar. Yeah, it is nice that Eldar is finally like transitioning out of just that being that sort of like monoculture of just being the Wraithguard brick list, but the new lists are more interesting. I think they're a lot cooler, but it is sad that 90% of the time it's like, well, double, triple Night Spinner, Wraithguard, whatever, Warp Spiders. Like, okay, man. I think that's a little bit of the downside of the factions that are strong but don't have a codex yet. So they're stuck on an index detachment, which means that even though they're strong, they're only strong in like one particular avenue. So there's no differentiation. And I would say, like, I mean, we don't want a faction to be as dominant as Eldar has been in the past. A little bit less so now, but they are still extremely good, obviously. Like, so regardless of what their build is, we don't want the faction to be that good. But it is nicer feeling when there's 2 or 3 detachments to choose from when you're playing a really, really strong army. We can talk about Jonathan Partridge here with Tyranids. Playing a relatively standard invasion fleet. So I'm running Gene Stealers, 1 Broodlord for 2 units of 5 Gene Stealers. That's interesting. It is nice to have the Gene Stealers to be able to deal with, to screen out drops.
Can we talk about Imperial Guard, aka the Lord Solar or Bust Club?
Yeah, we could dive into Imperial Guard after this list. I mean, I think Imperial Guard, they're probably in a little bit of a tough spot. They need more. I don't know what they need. They need to be less of just a one-dimensional gunline. Probably is the downside. Lord Solar or Bust Club is kind of, I think, the good way to put it, because those guys, you got to take that dude. He's really strong, but you need the order outlet onto your tanks, basically. And then there's no pushing in that army. You're just sitting in the back and shooting and hoping for the best, which is, well, not great. So we're running triple Termagants, no gargoyles in this list. It's pretty interesting. Double Gene Stealers, double Pyrophores, 1 unit Raveners for utility. Triple Excrement, Haruspex, Trigon, big Zoanthrope unit, and a Tyrant Guard brick. What is this list? Tyrant Guard brick in Invasion Fleet's not too bad, because at least you get rapid regeneration to keep them alive. You can kind of like push them pretty aggressively and use them as actually sort of a bully. The Gene Stealers, you have to take board space early so that you can open space for like the Trigon and the Raveners. Otherwise, it feels a little bit low on damage, to be fair. But I mean, I guess that's sort of how Tyranids are just working, so it's probably fine. Are there also no Neurolictors? This list says no Neurolictors. All right, I don't understand it. I'll be the first to admit. I don't know what's going on here. Where did our Neurolictors go? Why are there Tyrant Guard and no Neurolictors? I'm so confused. A lot of utility units, though, so I guess that's good. The Termagants are kind of nice because they're a little tough to kill. They get to a 4+ save and cover, so it's hard to one-shot the whole unit, and then you can use the teaming masses to bring them back, which is pretty okay. That is the unique stratagem for Invasion Fleet, where you can get a bunch of dudes back into an Endless Swarm unit. What is up, kitty cat? You want to come up? You want to come up and say hi to the chat? She's just squeaking away. Tyrant Guard plus a Hive Tyrant is basically immortal. Yeah, sure. Definitely the case. Tyrant Guard are impossible to kill. They can never be destroyed. Some more Necrons in the uncut lists here. I hate this system, by the way. Go 5-0. Just go fuck yourself. If you didn't score all hundreds, you lose. It's a real European thing. They love scoring. You gotta beat... it's not enough that you beat your opponent. You have to beat them to a pulp. You have to score 100 points every game, or nothing. This is another Canoptech Court. It's only one Immortal Brick, so this list probably won't change too much in the update. 2 units of Locust Heavy Destroyers. It's exciting. It's 1 Chronomancer to attach into the Immortal Brick, plus an Overlord. Double Technomancer. We are running double Canoptic Wraiths for the Technomancers to drop into. 3 Canoptic Doomstalkers. 1 Cryptothrall unit. They can drop into the Immortals now, right? They just can't drop into Lich Guard, because that's what Cryptests get restricted against. So, we're really, like, trying to keep this Immortal Brick active for multiple turns. We don't have the full combo, so we're not lethal hitting on 5s, but sustained hitting on 5s, because we don't have a Plasmancer, but the Chronomancer lets them shoot and scoot, so they can fire multiple times and hopefully get that 2 CP free Devastating Wound strat off a bunch of times. Now, again, obviously that combo doesn't work anymore, so not really worth thinking about. 2 units of Death Marks for Deep Striking, 3 individual Locust Heavy Destroyers, so lots of utility. Very nice. 2 units of Locust Heavy Destroyers with Destructors, 2 units of Tomb Blades. This feels like kind of a normal, like what is otherwise essentially just a standard Necron army, like an Awakened Dynasty army, but they just switched out like what we would normally see, like Lich Guard or whatever, in for Wraiths, and then just swung it into Canoptech Court. But otherwise, it has all of the good things that just sort of like Necron good stuff, right? All the utility units, all the little the Locusts, and then the big guns, the Locust big guns in the back, and then you also have the Doomstalkers that can support as well and actually get the rerolls. I kind of like that approach, actually. I like the Canoptech Courts that aren't all in on stuff. Tends to be kind of one-dimensional. Um, 70 Necron lists at LVO? I don't doubt it. It's not even like a huge majority at LVO. Now, is LVO using the FAQ? I assume that they are. I heard that some people were really, really upset about the change being like a week and a half before LVO to Canoptech Court. If you can source your parts for Hypercrypt Legion, I think Necron's still real strong. And I know a lot of people are still on Canoptech Court even after the nerf. But we'll see how well they can do damage, because that was kind of where the damage of that detachment came from. LVO using the new Necron FAQ, cool. So this is Manny Chima running World Eaters. Angron, Karn, Master of Executions. No Juggernaut Lord. So we don't have a favorite of Khorne anywhere. We were just using Icons of Khorne. 1, 2 units of Jackals. 2x10 Berserkers. 2 Rhinos to put the Berserkers in. 3 units of 8-bound. 2 units of Exalted 8-bound. Pretty straightforward, I guess. No favorite of Khorne, though. That makes me real sad. That Juggernaut Lord is real strong. You also have like there's like an empty attachment slot into the second Berserker unit. Although I guess the favorite of Khorne doesn't work if you're in the transport, so it is what it is. We're just going for speed here. Just a bunch of 8-bound rocking across the table. Basically, all of them get scout, right? Because these guys have scout innately. These guys get scout from Invocatus, and you can just Alpha Strike your opponent directly into the dumpster. That seems pretty good. That's a ton of table presence. Necrons cast Space Marine Eldar, 3 factions by attendance. I mean, that makes sense. I think those are, those are, at least currently, those are the highest performing 3 factions. Whether we see that continued on, especially Necrons being as good as they are, moving into the future as people get used to playing against them, because the new detachments are very different. I think it'll be less of a domination. Look at the Black Templars list. Which Black Templars list? There's also some Dark Angels going on over here. Oh, but we promised to talk about Astra Militarum. So let's talk about Astra Militarum. So this is food. Okay, thanks. Thanks, BCP. You gonna open? No, there you go. This is Fooch. Fushini, who has been a Discord regular in the past. I've streamed a lot of his games on TTS. Running Solar Leontis, Platoon Command Squad, so we get the Master Vox. 2 Tank Commanders. Ursula Creed, so we get the free +1 AP strat off of somebody's mortar. There we go, there's the mortar. Ta-da! 1 unit of Catachan Jungle Fighters, 1 unit of Corps of Krieg. Only 1 Catachan Jungle Fighter, interestingly, but 2 Bulgrin squads. Wow. I know that people are high on the Bulgrin squads for survivability, because they actually get a unit that can fight over the midboard. And they're pretty cheap. I mean, points per wound, right? Like, it's 18 wounds at, whatever they are, T7, with a 4-up invuln, 6-up feel no pain, -1 damage, which is, like, pretty good for... That ends up being, like, 8 points per wound. That's really strong. 3 units of Kasrkin, so lots of scouts. Between the 3 Kasrkin and the Jungle Fighters, 3 Manticores for artillery, 1 Scout Sentinel, 2 Scout Sentinel. No Chimeras. Am I crazy? Yeah, no Chimeras. I like the forward pressure. I think that's kind of what Astra Militarum needs to do in order to secure those big wins. Because one thing that can happen, obviously, is like for the almost pure shooting army, you just get pushed off the middle of the table, and then your opponent is stuck farming primary off you, and they have very little way to like actually take and hold the primary. But with 1 million scouts that are all pretty effective in and of themselves, and the 2 Bulgrin units, you have a lot of stuff that can go to the center. So I like that. Plus, the nice thing about the Bulgrin is that they give you this option that can force your opponent's like big guns to move out. They're like multi-damage guns to move out without having to expose your tank commanders. Because like the most valuable asset really you have in a Militarum army are those Leman Russ. If you have to give away the Leman Russ too early, it gets really bad really quickly. But if you can make your opponent expose their big guns and then trade the Bulgrin for them, and then get them with the Leman Russ, then you're like off to the races. So that seems good. Usually people do that with Chimeras. Usually that's what Chimeras are good for, because Chimeras for their points are really hard to kill, and then they get scout from the scout units. And then your opponent has to deal with them somehow to get their OC off of the center objectives. And then usually use that to sort of roll into the tank commanders. But we're doing it with Bulgrin today, so it seems fine. Yeah, triple Manticores for sure. Have we seen the new rules just released by GW for Ravenwing? Is that on Warhammer Community? The last I saw... Oh, no, I didn't see the Ravenwing thing. Last I saw was their talk about Inner Circle. We can talk about that later. I have not looked at that article yet. That's cool. Meta seems pretty healthy overall. I agree with that. I think Necrons are probably still in a state where people aren't quite prepared for them. And I think that's kind of like artificially driving up their win rate. We'll probably see it drop in the future. In my opinion, I think Eldar and Chaos Space Marines are still kind of like the existential threats. Like, there's a lot of factions in the game that's just like, oh, if I hit those, I just lose. And that's an annoying place for that to be. Like, there should be more counterplay. So, yeah. But I do think that the otherwise everything is like pretty well balanced. It's certainly, you know, I don't know if it's necessarily possible to win with everything, but it's certainly possible to lose to anything, if that makes sense, right? Like, if your opponent is good and you don't play very well and maybe you get unlucky, almost anything can beat anything in this game right now, and that's like a really nice place for things to be. The Praetor should see more play. The Praetor's so expensive, though. When you compare it to any of the other indirect fire platforms in the faction, it's really bad. It's like... Get my Munitorum out. This might be the old one. Yeah, it's 275. That's nuts. And the amount of damage it does is so piddling. It looks cool because it has a really cool set of keywords. I'll just pull up its data sheet. Oh, I don't have it downloaded, I don't think. It looks cool because it has a really cool set of keywords, right? Because it's like anti-tank, anti-vehicle, anti-monster, or whatever. So it looks like it's gonna be like hyper effective artillery, but at 275, its output is just super bad. Yeah, so the foe hammer shot is anti-monster, anti-vehicle.
How would you bring guard to 50% WR? I see a lot of people asking for Born Soldiers to just be 100% of the time for infantry squads as the fix.
I could see that. I do think Born Soldiers is like both super problematic and underpowered, because I think the purpose of Born Soldiers is that it makes their small arms do more damage, right? But in effect, it just makes your artillery dramatically better, and I don't think that's the intention of the ability. I would like to see it be like, instead of remaining stationary, I would like to see it be applied to units affected by orders, I think. Which would be a little bit more interesting. Or maybe like in some instances or whatever. Like you could pull some levers on that, like, you know, to make it more or less effective. Like it could be remaining stationary on vehicles and affecting by orders on infantry or something like that. But things that make the infantry squads more effective, I think, is where you want to be. But like the real issue, like killing your opponent is one thing, but the real issue is that they have a tough time scoring primary. And I don't know what the fix there is, like easily, right? Without like redesigning a bunch of stuff, without making random infantry squads like super hard to kill or whatever, like super tanky. So, you know, ultimately it's a tough question. You could just make their infantry like super cheap or something, I guess, but I don't know if that really necessarily fixes the problem. It just kind of like is a band-aid. Because they're throwing units onto objectives that are inexpensive, but also just do nothing, right? They're like, oh, I'm high OC, but I die to anything, and you'll just charge me and kill me. Like, I have no melee presence. So maybe like make Rough Riders super good or something. Like, give them the ability to counterpunch and melee onto objectives. Like, right now, like, Guard, outside of tank shocking people, Guard, like, and Bulgrin, obviously, Guard basically can't charge. Because if they charge, whatever they charge kills them, right? So, like, giving them more units that can actually play the melee game, I think, is more interesting. And, like, maybe Rough Riders is the way to go. Because the Rough Rider datasheet right now is super bad. It's incredibly... Especially compared to the 9th edition one, which was, like, super duper pushed. It's very uninspiring. And having those guys be like the counterpunch melee unit would be super cool. So maybe something like that, I think, would be the direction I would go in. Is Born Soldiers the thing that gives lethal? It is, yeah. Yeah, it gives you lethal when you remain stationary. So it only affects you on your turn, and then only affects you if you stand still. So it almost never affects infantry, which is the issue. Like, it's meant to provide damage output to your las guns, so your las guns have a much greater chance of like a significantly greater chance of dealing damage to heavy targets, the high toughness stuff. But it will never do that because your infantry needs to be moving to objectives and, you know, doing stuff. Maybe if they had more ways to count themselves as remain stationary, that would be okay. I don't know. It is what it is. Am I going to LVO? No, I'm not going to LVO. LVO is the other side of the country for me, so it's a really tough ask. I would love to go stream it, but it's like the travel time and expense would be extreme. Like, I need to do a GoFundMe or something to be able to get there, I think would be the issue. Your enemy can't score primary if they're dead. I mean, that only works to some extent, right? Like, a guard army is good at shooting, but basically no army in 40k can kill all of your opponent's scoring at one time. So if you just overload objectives, your opponent's going to shoot you, but they don't shoot everything, and then you're just scoring anyway. And then there are units that are uninteractable, obviously. Like lone operatives are just like, ha ha ha, I live here now. They shoot at those 6 Canoptic Wraiths that start in the middle of the table. You're just like, lone operative myself, sir, for 1 CP. And you're like, all right, well, I'll just go home and cry, I guess. But yeah, like, so looking at this Praetor guy, right? He's a heavy blast indirect anti-monster anti-vehicle. He's only got one of these things, right? Oh, okay. Where did you go? There it is. Yeah, 1 Praetor launcher. So it shoots an average of 4 times. You can get it to hit on 2s if you stack all the buffs. So we'll say it hits every time, right? So it shoots 4, hits 4, and then it wounds on 4s. So it wounds 2. Your opponent is in cover. If they're a 2+ save, they save on a 3. I guess you could like stack the +1 AP on them. So like maybe you're ignoring cover or whatever. Maybe you have a Sentinel. So like best case scenario, right? Your AP3 ignored cover. If the Sentinel's looking at them or the Hellhound shot them, it's the Sentinel gets around the -1 to hit. And that you can tag him with the Hellhound. And you can be +1 AP from the stratagem from Ursula Creed. So a 2-up save tank is saving on 5s. But you're only wounding twice on average, right? So they're saving on 5s, so they're going to fail like on average, you know, like 1.5. So you're averaging like 5 damage. A 275 point tank averages 5 damage into like most vehicles in the game, which is like just really bad. So you could get basically the same damage output out of a Manticore for like almost half the price, and it's essentially the same weapon. I don't understand the pricing of the Praetor. I think that they were just scared that it would be too strong, but it's definitely not. It's like if this damage value was higher, maybe if this was like 6 damage, you'd be like, whoa, that's crazy, that's so much. But the fact that it's 3 is like kind of laughable. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, 3 damage. What a time to be alive. 270 points for a 3 damage gun. Yeah, but your survivability doesn't matter because you're indirect. Yeah. Like, you're paying, like, 100 points of that is for its big defensive profile. And to be fair, it probably has that big defensive profile because it's physically huge, which is a downside. You want it to be small and easily hidden. So it's just, like, not a unit that's particularly good at doing what it is designed to do, which is just not a great place to be. Anyway. Some Dark Angels here. We can talk about Dark Angels. This is an Iron Storm. So we have seen some Dark Angels Iron Storms running all the land speeders. Is that what we have? A little bit. We have a Dark Shroud to grant stealth, so that's kind of cool. I like that. It's a little bit of a survivability skew, right? So it's running Azrael for CP regen, a combi weapon lieutenant, Master Machine War, plus a tech marine with target augury, plus a tech marine with adept. 1 unit of company heroes. Azrael can attach into those now, so that's exciting for him. He's got a little unit to give sustain to. 2 units of Inceptors, with Plasma Exterminator. 1 Infiltrator squad with Infiltrator squad stuff. 2 units of Scouts. The Dark Shroud to grant stealth, plus 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, 1 Repulsor Executioner, that's kind of cool, and a Storm Speeder Thunderstrike. Now I always forget, which one is the Thunderstrike? Is that +1 to wound? That's the +1 to wound one, right? Hail Strike is -1 AP, I remember that, or +1 AP. And then the other one does something else. Shit, I can't find their data sheets now. Well, Hapidia, save me. Yeah, no Talon Master for this one. Talon Master's really good. Definitely one of the big benefits of playing the Dark Angels list, but not today. We have the Master of Machine War guy, so I guess like that's sort of where we're at. The ignore cover from the Talon Master is really nice, though. All right. Tell me what a Thunderstrike does. Sometimes I wish that the naming conventions for these Space Marine vehicles were a little bit more. Yeah, Thunderstrike is the +1 to win guy. Yay! We're a little bit easier to parse because they are a little confusing sometimes. Woof. So the Redemptor Dreadnoughts are gonna be potentially Armor if Contempted plus Stealthy plus have a damage blank and then heals in the back end too. So they are super hard to kill in this list. It's pretty cool. Repulsor Executioner is a spicy pick, but with the reroll, the floating reroll on the Heavy Destroyer is really strong. Oh my god, I am so dry today. I noticed just before the stream, I was like washing my face off, and it's so much dry skin. Whoa. Very dry. Just that winter energy. We also had some other Necrons as well, undefeated. Another Canoptek Court. This is sort of the same idea. This one had a spider. It's kind of fun. But otherwise largely the same as the original one. Also a Trinsen and Catan. Oh, 3 Catan. Alright, fair enough. That's a lot of midboard presence, actually. I wonder if that's the direction that we'll see Canoptek Court go in. It will just use the infiltrating unit of race to like open up table space for the Catan Shard to just sort of like dominate the middle of the table. And then your backline objectives are kind of safe because you have race that are untargetable, and then you can just skirmish with the race in the middle, and Catan Shard just sort of like karate chop whatever is annoying to kill. That might be just the way to be. And then you could even have Doomstalkers in the back that are your backline shooting. Looks like that's not what we're taking, but that may be the direction we see the detachment go in, which I guess isn't too bad. Although I am worried that the faction just becomes Catan Shards the faction, kind of like how 9th edition ended up. I think that's the direction we're going in very quickly, but we'll see. They are very efficient for what they give you. Yeah. I mean, I think less Immortals, more Catan is the way to go with every detachment, to be honest. Although I liked Matt Laura's list with the Chronomancer Immortals out of Hypercrypt Legion. I think that was really smart. Being able to cosmic precision a unit like anywhere on the table and then move it is super dumb, because you can get around like basically all of the normal strategies to prevent 3-inch deep strikes from boning you. If you're like, aha, I'll ring my objective so you can't get in, you're just gonna be like, okay, I'll pay the CP anyway, and then just walk on the objective. You have to entirely like encompass it with engagement range and force them to charge, basically, which is super difficult unless you have a really high volume. So Immortals, I think, still have a place, but I think it's in the other detachment for sure. Plus, you can take a Risen Tyrant to kind of like ape the Plasmancer effect too. Deceiver is surprising that's on more Necron lists. Having played the Deceiver in a bunch of games so far, he sucks. It is not surprising that that guy's not played. His output is laughably bad. The issue is that he's, first of all, he's the most expensive Catan, which makes no goddamn sense. Because he's dramatically less useful than the other ones. I'm not going to say he's, like, useless, because his redeploy is really interesting, and he has a higher OC value, so he's much better at objective control. How do I keep doing this? This is so annoying. I don't want you. But the issue is his output. He has what is effectively the same output as the regular Catan in melee, but no keywords on his weapon. So it's 3 damage instead of D3, which is a side grade, I guess. It's better against heavy infantry, but worse against larger vehicles, I guess. But it's not sustained, so he's probably, on the whole, he's worse than a regular Transcendent at fighting. And then his gun is, like, silly. What they did is they wanted to put him in this role where he's a sniper, but the problem with snipers is that if you make them super reliable, they just get really dumb, right? And so he averages like 2.5 wounds onto somebody, right? Because he's anti-character for devastating. So you shoot into a character, you roll 6 attacks, likely you will miss 1, assuming you don't have any rerolls or anything anywhere. And then you wound on 4. So out of the 5 remaining, you're probably going to get 2.5, on average, wounds. And those are only 1 damage. So you're doing 2.5 wounds. But let's say charitably you do 3, right? So if you want to use the precision ability, you're going to shoot into a character, and 80% of the characters in the game you're not going to kill. You're going to leave them on 1, and then they're just going to run away, and they're going to survive like that. Or you're going to kill the whole unit anyway. That wouldn't matter. But if you make his gun 2 damage, I think he does way too much damage, and he's too reliable. Maybe they could have reduced its range or something, like made it a 12-inch range but higher damage. I don't know. The problem is that he's just worse at fighting than any of the other Catan, and his other abilities might make up for that if he was the same cost, but he also pays more for them, which makes no sense. So you would never take him over the Nightbringer or the Void Dragon, or even probably a regular Catan. Now, I will say, the free redeploy, it is before a roll to go first, but if you're playing a bunch of big heavy stuff, or if you're playing Hypercrypt Legion, it's really good, because you can strategic reserve units beyond your normal cap, which is super cool. So I actually found that, especially playing multiple Catan shards, he's super useful, because you can deploy Catan shards at annoying places, and then if your opponent sets up to kill them, you can just you can redeploy into a better position. So he's definitely not terrible, but oh my god, is he not as good as the other ones. So it's not surprising that you don't see him too much. I also kind of wish his stealth, if he was the tanky one, maybe that would be cool too. If his stealth also worked in melee, Shalaxi Hellbanes, where it's just every time an attack targets you, it's -1 to hit. That would be cool, but not what we got. We just got the bad Catan shard. His gun needs to be double the shots. Good for pulling back infiltrators. Yeah, that's true. Six is bad. Well, we'll see how we keep going in our events with the 6 Catan. I'm playing 6 Catan as a meme list, by the way, chat. It's kind of skewy. So far, most of the games we played, my opponent has been like, I did not bring the requisite attacks to deal with Catan shards, so I will lose this game. And you're like, okay, great. I'm glad. But I imagine we're gonna hit like Eldar, or we're gonna hit Thousand Suns, and they're just gonna vaporize them. The poor Catan shards. Am I excited about the mirror? I have more Catan shards than he does, so kind of. Funny, he has almost the same stats as a Norn Emissary, with just 4 wounds less, to 5 feel no pay, and always on. Yeah, no 2+ armor save, which is a big deal. I saw somebody... somebody in the comments of the video yesterday was like, I don't know if they were trolling. It felt like a troll, but it seemed like a very sincere comment. They were like, really, Catan shards are like too expensive for their points value. I find that mine always die. They really need like a 2+ base armor save on top of their invuln save. And I was like, do they? Is that what they need? Or do they need to be like 20 points more expensive? How do you kill Catan most efficiently? You want high volume. You need a weird profile. You need high strength, low AP, low damage. I think, like, unironically, Thousand Suns do it super duper well. Anything that's, like, mass, like, stuff that can win them on 5s re-rolling, like Twin Linked, with, like, mass volume. Like, assault cannons is, like, the profile that you want. It's like we wound on 5s, Twin Linked, with devastating sometimes, or, like, lethal hits or whatever. One of those keywords is super duper strong. So, like, plus Mortal Wounds will do it, too, because Mortal Wounds get around their half damage and invuln save. So, like, unironically, Grey Knights might be good at it. They have, like, mass incinerators, although they don't reroll, but Vortex of Dooms, like nuke them super hard. Thousand Suns are super good at it, because they'll just, like, Doombolt, Flamer Brick, and the Catan shard dies. The other weird thing is that if you have bonus damage, it gets around their half damage. So, half damage... because it's a modifier that halves it, that divides the value, you apply that before any damage bonuses. So if you have an effect like a Rendmaster or a Relic or something that gives you +1 damage, you'll have your base damage characteristic then add your bonus. So you can actually get around their half damage with damage bonuses too. Damage bonuses are really hard to source in 40k right now, so there aren't too many off the top of my head, but those could really, really bone Catan shards super hard too. They'll be like, aha, I will take your 5 damage and turn it into 3, and you're like, no, you're still taking 4 or whatever. And they're like, no. Yeah, Melta is the one. High strength Melta. You have to be able to get through the toughness, though, is the problem with Melta. So, like, if you can get the Sisters Melta Brick into close range, it'll do it. At long range, it's, like, really questionable, but close range it'll do. I'm also worried about, like, Knights. Like, Knights, I think, will get them. Like, War Dog spam, like Mass Brigands with Demon Breath Spears. Because the Catan shards themselves don't have really good output into T10 outside of the Nightbringer. And maybe the Void Dragon, but he's kind of questionable. And the bonus damage from Melta is, like, they're +4 on Melta. So every converted hit through is, like, half of a Catan shard. With the Demon Breath Spears. So I think War Dogs and Armigers are probably good at it. I think Thousand Suns are really good at it. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I like mass lethal hit, like infantry guns and stuff. Grey Knight's killing pretty decent. Yeah. Yeah, they're a weird profile. I kind of, like... Playing against armies that aren't prepared for them, like, you feel really bad, and you're like, this is definitely degenerate. But I appreciate that they are basically they're like a tank profile, right? T11, 12 wounds or whatever, that you have to approach very differently than a normal tank. You shoot them with, like, a very specific, like, tool in order to kill them. And I think that's really cool. And, like, it's an interesting meta consideration where you're like, what's your answer to Catan shards? And you're like, well, I have this unit of, like, aggressor, like Flamestorm aggressors or something. It's, like, really good into them. Mr. 2 just played against Bulgrin and Militarum. Fair enough. Well, that's the reason everybody's playing them right now. Yep. Yep. All right. So we can move off of this event. Those are all the undefeated lists from this event. I don't know if there's anything particularly exciting to talk about other than that. Mostly kind of normal stuff. There is some Adeptus Mechanicus showing up at the X and 1 at Nottingham. It was a Hunter cohort. 3 Marshals with all the enhancements, 2 Manipuli, so we're probably seeing 2 Breacher teams. 1 Ranger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Vanguard, 3 Dune Riders to keep them in. Yep, there's the 2 Breacher teams in the back, so it's a little bit of a mix between the just infantry spam lists that we've been seeing from Hunter cohort and one that has more damage output. We also have 1 unit, 2 units of Taraxi Sterilizers, 1 of 10, 1 of 5, plus a Sicarian Infiltrator unit and 2 Sidonian Dragoons. Cool. Seems pretty good. The Breachers definitely aren't quite as exciting outside of Rad cohort. They definitely don't feel as good. But they're not bad. You'll never be sad about having a Breacher unit. You just won't be excited about shooting all the like full reroll lethal hits and stuff. Black Templars. Oh, the other one down here. We did not talk about them. So this is a Righteous Crusader, the Castellan, Grimaldus, Helbrecht, Judiciar. I have to remember what all the Righteous Crusade stuff does, because it's been so long since we've had a Black Templars army outside Ironstorm. So the Tannhauser's Bones is half damage for the character, and gives the unit a 5+ feel no pain as long as they are upholding the honor of the Emperor. Sigismund's Seal is +1 attack to the Judiciar. You get unmodified critical hits on a 5-up if you are accepting any challenge no matter the odds for the whole unit, which is pretty good, especially because you're probably going to be getting lethal or sustains. Sustain 1 if you're in accept any challenge. 1, 2, 3 Little Crusader squads. 1, 2 Big Crusader squads. 3 huge Primaris Crusader squads. 2 Scout squads and 2 Assassins. Pretty normal. I guess it's kind of interesting that we're not seeing any transports, because usually you'll see some Rhinos for the smaller Crusader squads. But we basically just we've done away with the normal Sword Brethren to take more Primaris Crusaders. And I mean, as we've talked about on this very channel, Primaris Crusaders are probably one of the most lethal melee units in the entire game once their combo's active, because you get one of them. You get 1 character for each of them, I guess. Grimaldus makes them faster, so he can be the first unit. Plus, they also scout, so they project a lot of pressure. And then Helbrecht and the Castellan can both give 5+ lethals, or 5+ sustains, potentially, because they both buff your critical hit range. And then you're just absolutely, like, vaporizing people. Seems good. Good old Black Templars stuff. Normally we'd see like Rhino or Impulsors with Sword Brethren, but not today. Not today, chats. Yeah, very good objective control for sure. Just like a billion million OC2. Which is good. Very good at scoring. So you have like 3 uppy downies. You're throwing like 80 models in the center of the table. And I would be shocked if some of these guys don't strategic reserve and rapid ingress into funny places too. I like it. I like it. It's funny because like the Primaris Crusaders they're so high damage, but for the longest time, everyone was packing really good guns to fight them. And I wonder if that started to change. Like, everyone and their mom had, like, multi-damage artillery with Blast. You saw Whirlwinds everywhere. You saw Night Spinners everywhere. You saw Manticores everywhere. And that really kind of curbed the power of Primaris Crusaders, because they never... Like, their damage output when they hit was, like, so astronomical, but they never got there, and they certainly never got there at full power. Because you would kill half of them on the way in. But it might be that we're in a situation where not as many people are taking that like multi-damage artillery stuff. And so this is much better situated than it was, 3 months ago. I could see that for sure. Everybody's rocking las cannons and bright lances and stuff now. I mean, as evidenced by the fact that this infantry-only army has like 5 las cannons in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And all the Crusader squads. And Grav guns, let's go. Alright. So that was Nottingham. Are there any other factions that we want to take a look at, chat? We could take a look at LVO, but I don't know if the lists are open. I guess we can see. $936 players. I imagine that these lists are locked right now. Lists are up. Okay, cool. That's sweet. Alright, yeah, I guess we could take a look through LVO lists if we want to do that. Any spicy ones? Any spicy players we can look at? There's so many Alexes. We gotta get through all the Alexes first. What are people bringing with... let's see if there's any Drukhari representation. That's what I want to see. Ooh, look at them all. Look at all those Drukhari. 15 Drukhari players. Way to go. What do you think? We just pick some people at random? Alright, Andrew. Congratulations for your name being spelled with an A. Casual 936 players. Yeah, good stuff. This one's running Archon, Beastmaster, Urian Rankar. I think that's a pretty standard. It's a pretty solid loadout of characters for this faction. 4 units of cavalry. 5 units of cavalry warriors. Holy shit! What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5 cavalry warriors. Oh my god, in raiders. Okay, fair enough. I guess you sort of expect to combat squad those guys in Venoms, but I guess not today. 5 units in raiders. Oh, excuse me. Plus 2 Ravagers, 2 Scourges, and a Talos. Well, pretty straightforward. We're just going to be trying to take people's objectives with big, objective-secure raiders that lock the objectives in. Basically no melee outside of the Talos, though. Not running witches, not running any incubi, but I guess that's fair. Those units aren't very good right now. Kind of standard. Heard there was a 7 Land Raider list. You can't take a 7 Land Raider list. That's my thing now. I don't know if that list is very good, chat. I don't think... I have a sneaking suspicion that list is not going to win LVO. How having played it, it was pretty good, but it was definitely skewy. If you were ready for it, you would die. There has to be Agents of the Imperium. You can't take Agents of the Imperium. You need to choose a detachment for your army. They don't have a detachment. It's unfortunately not legal. You can like ape Agents of the Imperium by taking only allied units, but you can't actually like register agents as an army. Won't know until you try. Dude, I'm 3 games in with that list. So far undefeated. Let's go. What about Custodes? Who's playing Custodes? Anybody cool? Don't recognize anybody who's playing them. What are people playing? Brian Rivera. What do you got going on? Bunch of Custodian guards. 4 units of 4. Plus 3 units of prosecutors, 3 units of Venatari. That's pretty solid. 2 units of Witch Seekers, Calidus, Eversor, Voidsman. Wow. Just MSU the list. Only one character, one custodian character, I should say, and then just mass units. There are 7 individual units of custodian infantry and 5 individual units of Sisters of Silence. Anathema Psychana infantry, and then the the allied characters. That's pretty nutty. That's kind of cool though. I mean, I guess like custodian guards are scary enough that you don't necessarily need to like supercharge them with all the characters and stuff. They'll just get work done anyway by themselves, and that lets you do like tons and tons of deep strike shenanigans and stuff, especially with the Venatari, giving you a bunch of rapid ingresses for free too. Look at Tyranids. Tyranids gonna have a lot more people in them. 36 players playing Tyranids. So Matt Evans is on Tyranids right now. We can take a look at what he's playing. Invasion Fleet, Hive Tyrant, Nero Tyrant, Double Prime. Whoa. That's spicy. Okay. This is another unit. If you can source, speaking of Catan shards, if you can source the +1 to wound from a Nero Tyrant, from a Neurolictor, excuse me, that is another unit that will dumpster a Catan shard. If they're melee warrior units, obviously. If they're not, then I'll just eat Crow, I guess. 1 Biovore for scoring, 2 Exocrines, 3 Maliceptors, 3 Neurolictors, Man After My Own Heart, 1 Pyrovore, yeah, 2 melee bioweapon bricks. So largely these will just like sit in the middle. The downside is the is artillery, I think. Like, I don't know what this list does against artillery. At least in Vanguard Onslaught, they can loan up the big units, the big bricks against artillery shots. But in Invasion Fleet, they're just eating it, and it sucks. So, like, you just hope to dodge, like, Manticores or whatever. But, yeah, that unit, it's not including the character. It's 36 attacks. They have a 5-up lethal hit. Or, excuse me, they 6-up lethal hit, and then wounding on 5's twin linked, and they're sustained. So they will probably force like approximately 1 million saves. They'll get 6 lethal sustained, so they'll just get 6 additional wounds automatically. They'll probably get another 24 hits that reroll into like 13 or 14 wounds. So they force like close to 20 saves on a Catan shard just by themselves, which doesn't kill it, but in addition to being shot by Maliceptors and stuff, it definitely will go down. Alex McDougal's on Gene Stealer call right now, I think, chat. Is it anything with loads of attacks, lethal, and reroll to hit clean them up? Yeah, like, what is happening to my mouse right now? I don't know if, like, lethal by itself, I don't know if we'll do it. But yeah, lethal certainly helps. Definitely helps, even if you're low AP. I think my right click's stuck. It's so weird. I don't even have my hands on my mouse and it's right clicking. It's a little annoying. Oh, this, I think you saw Alex McDonough in chat. If McDougal is playing, which it doesn't look like he is, unless it's McDougal. No, it's not. It doesn't look like he's registered. Yeah, 1 damage is definitely the way to go, for sure. Robert from Table War, Hawaii. Robert who? Just Robert? Is it this one? This says Dark Angels, so I'm going to assume that that's the one. Oh, no, there's no... Oh, this one. This is the one. Robert Moreau. Vanguard Spearhead with Azrael and the Lion. 3 Blade Guard veteran squads? What? Why? Company heroes for Azrael to join. 1 Centurion Devastator squad to do Centurion Devastator squad stuff. 1 Land Raider Redeemer to put a bunch of Blade Guard veterans in. Scout squads and a Calidus Assassin. 3 Scout squads. No Combi Lieutenant for Lionel Johnson, but I guess that's fine. It's probably okay. It's usually... It feels like kind of a nice include, but I don't know if it's ever really necessary, because you just put a tough unit like Blade Guard Veterans behind a wall. Triple Blade Guard Veteran is a lot. And it's in Vanguard Spearhead. I wonder if what we're trying to do is like you get the cover and stealth, right, on the Blade Guard Veterans. And then once they bail out, they can uppy downy to do funny stuff. And you could also probably use the reactive move strat to put them into into the Land Raider as well. So they're just like really good at jumping in and out. I imagine that's the idea. They're really hard to pin down, I guess. What faction do I think will take LVO? It sounds like statistically it looks like it might be Necrons just because they have the highest player count. I would say... I think it's likely to be like Eldar or CSM, right? But what are what's like Lennon running? Is he playing? Oh, I guess not. Just kidding. We'll never know. Interesting. That kind of opens the field up a little bit, I think. Chaos Space Marines does feel like pretty good. I think Eldar played out. I think people know how to deal with Eldar, at least at the top level. Art of War's not going? Wow, that's surprising. Yeah, I would say probably either Necrons or Chaos Space Marines. That feels like lame though. I want something to come out of come out of nowhere. I want to see like Leagues of Votann win. Just like I think they're good enough to do it. They just got to get lucky. Sean, thank you for the subscription. Necrons shit on Eldar. Do they? I don't know if I've heard that before. Yeah. Sisters is probably more reasonable from like a dark horse factor because they're so good at scoring points. But if Votann just go first, like 6 out of 8 games or whatever, like they'll just win. Votann are so dumb going first, it's silly. World Eaters? I don't know about World Eaters. I think World Eaters are too inconsistent. There are certainly some situations where you just get infiltrated out with World Eaters, and there's nothing you can do about it. Your opponent just like puts 12 Nurglings in front of your army, and you're like, great, I love this game. And then you can't scout move, you can't go anywhere turn 1, you just live there for a turn. And then you lose. World Eaters are good, but I don't know if... I think that being the melee-only faction, I think is like maybe a little... like a sight too one-dimensional. Yeah, how many players are on Sisters? So bad at typing. Oh my god. I'm glad nobody saw that. That was a disaster. 20? Man, that is low. Dutes is on Sisters. Other than that, I don't know if I recognize any of these people. Like, we don't have like Jeffrey Kolodner and all those like super hardcore Sisters stands. To like banner wave for the faction. It's just a little sad. Is Anthony Vanilla playing? No. It feels like it's like the largest LVO, right? It's the largest event we've ever seen. Almost 1,000 players. But like it feels like a lot of the really big names are not there. There's no Manny Chima. None of the Art of War people. Okay. It's so weird. You don't need to take the list you register on BCP? Really? Is that true? What's the point of registering a list then? You can just play whatever. Any Blood Angels? Yeah, probably. It's a little tough to differentiate the Blood Angels from regular Adeptus Astartes, because people can register as either. Blood Angels are in a not too bad spot right now. Yeah, 21 Blood Angels players. They make a very good Gladius task force. Oh, this guy's running Stormlance though. Who's this? What did I just click on? Is this Austin Ellington? Yeah. Stormlance. Let's go. That's kind of spicy. A Stormraven gunship for the -1 hit and wound. That's solid. Terminator Assault Squad, Land Raider Redeemer, Death Company Dreadnought, Gladiator, Lancer, a 10-man Jump Pack Intercessor Squad, Big Aggressor Squad, Priest with a Jump Pack, Sanguinor, Dante, Chaplain, and a Gravis Armor Captain. That's very different. I like that. That's cool. Chris Green over here playing Gladius Task Force. With Dreadnought? Yeah. Yeah, so this is sort of what I would expect to see. Biologus Apothecary, an Honor Vehement Captain, plus a Gravis Captain, and a Lieutenant. So we can stick the Biologus Apothecary and the Gravis Captain into the Aggressor Squad, so we get a free strat in there. We have a Company Hero Squad for the other Captain, I guess. Yeah. One Eradicator Squad, two Gladiator Lancers, 2 Inceptor Squads, 2 Infiltrator Squads, 1 Librarian Dreadnought, 1 Whirlwind. So we don't... I guess the only thing that we're delivering is the Eradicator Squad and the Aggressors with the Librarian Dreadnought. Sometimes we see Hellblasters, sometimes we see Devastators. But I guess we can also port the Company Heroes around, which is kind of sweet. So if you put the Captain and the... like, it's an Honor Vehement Captain and a Lieutenant. And we've seen on this channel that unit punches pretty good. So being able to put it into like an annoying spot up the table, it's actually kind of sweet because they're hard to kill too. -1 to wound and probably -1 armor save too on a unit with a billion wounds. They're what, 25 with the captain in there? That's all pretty good. So that's cool. I like that. Europeans hate the terrain. I mean, everyone hates the terrain, right? Does anyone unironically like the LVO terrain? It's a little unfortunate because it's like it's such a big event. The terrain is like a huge deal, right? Like, you know, a 30-person GT, you're like, all right, we got to furnish 16 tables. We could cut out some cardboard boxes and have it, you know, get it done. But an event this big, you're talking about sourcing, you know, 500 tables that look good, 550 tables. That's a tough ask. That's a tough ask. So you can't really fault them for using the terrain that they have, even though it's like 2 editions out of date at this point, unfortunately. But I think if they were to recreate all of their terrain every year, they wouldn't make any money at all. Player plays terrain and fighting through ruins. I'm so glad people are on my side about these things. Like, come on, guys. The player plays terrain doesn't belong in 40k. Player plays terrain's good in other games. I don't think 40k is the game for it, though. If you're 1 millimeter wrong in 40k PPT, you just lose the game immediately. Your entire army dies. And wall phasing is silly and. JJ, excited to play at such a big event? Yeah, dude. I think, like, some people have just said that, like, the ambiance of the hall is just, like, totally different. Just watching 1,000 people play 40k at the same time is nuts. And it's the cool thing, too, is, like, the Champions is not the only 40k event at LVO, right? Because there's also a friendly. There are also pods all day. So it's, like, you're talking about an event with, like, 2,000 40k players all in one place, which is, like, nuts cool. That's so crazy cool. They use wall phasing to make the Europeans happy. Yeah, I also like. I think wall phasing, like, it also lets you, like, make melee more relevant without having to redesign your terrain. Like, I think a lot of the downsides is that the terrain requirement is so extreme for an event like LVO, and I think that that's really sort of holding them up. Like, wall phasing is good in a situation where you don't have walls that are, like, that you can get around. So, like, in some instances, you can have walls that have doors or windows and stuff like that, where you can construct the terrain such that it doesn't make it useless for line of sight blocking, but it also allows chargers to get inside the terrain, inside the ruin walls. And wall phasing is just, like, it's just saying that, like, oh, we didn't do that, so, like, we're going to pretend that they're there anyway. I don't like it because it doesn't, like, work, like, physically on the tabletop, but it is what it is. Damn Legion, thanks for coming and hanging out, dude. I appreciate you. WTC hinted they may rework the rule. Yeah, I would like that. It's I don't believe that it's entirely necessary. Although with heavier WTC tables, I could see it be problematic. Because, like, part of the thing that WTC does, right, is like sometimes they just fill their tables entirely with terrain, which I don't know is necessarily the best call. But it's for the team format, right? And I think you can create these situations where the movement restrictions are way too insane for all units on the super tight tables. And to be fair, like, that's part of the team format, right? Like, table choosing is part of the strategy, and I appreciate that, and I think that's cool. But I think wall phasing is, in some instances, kind of necessary because you can create situations where, like, nothing's interactable, just because there's so many ruins on the table. I definitely don't think it's necessary for other terrain formats, though. I think it's very specific to WTC. And just using it elsewhere is, like, silly. Anyway, I don't know. I don't like house rules in general, so that's just my personal preference, I think. But to each their own. If you want to play with wall phasing, you can play with wall phasing. My local tournament circuit played with wall phasing for a while, and it was weird every time it came up, but it is what it is. Pressure in both directions for the rules to come closer in line to what was played at WCW. Yeah, I appreciate that GW has official events now, right? Because we can look at those for a little bit of a gold standard. Like, I wish they would just put the rules in the fucking rulebook, but I'll take what I can get, I guess. If you're making FAQs, put them in an FAQ document. Don't just, like, use them for one event and then have, like, chodes on the internet go, oh, that's not official rules because it was only used for one event. I'm like, sure. By the internal events team on their most prestigious event that Games Workshop's put on, but okay. All right, chat. What else do we want to look at? Anything else over here on in LVO land, I guess? Get some salamanders. Aaron Jervis, is that right? Aaron Jarvis. Running a firestorm. Combi Lieutenant, Regular Lieutenant, Gravis Captain, Adrax. Plus an Aggressor Squad for the Captain. We get that free Devastating Wounds. Let's go! You want to kill a Catan Shard? No, you don't kill a Catan Shard. Get him. Blade Guard Veteran Squad. Gladiator Lancer. Infiltrator. Land Raider. Redeemer. Redemptor Dreadnought. 1 Scout Squad. 1 Thunder Strike. And a Calidus Assassin. Yeah, so you can get +1 to wound from the Thunder Strike. On your flamers. We don't have Vulcan. Alright. Real talk. Who's this again? I forgot. Aaron Jarvis. Why would you register Salamanders and not play Vulcan? You're a crazy guy? I guess we're not taking Infernus Marines, but he buffs the Redeemer so well. I guess it's okay. If we're not playing any other flamers, it's probably fine. But Vulcan's so cool. I love Vulcan. He's sick. That guy's rad. Decker, have a good one. Thanks for coming and hanging out. What if somebody comes out of nowhere with squats? They play like squats, but like from the old first edition squats or whatever. Can we go to the end? Let's go to the end. Let's go to all those Anders. What are they playing? Got a Grey Knights. Zachary Roland, Castling Crow, Grandmaster, Caldor Drago. No Brotherhood Librarians. Zachary, probably gonna have a bad time. We should take some Brotherhood Librarians. This guy's rule. Big Purifier, Big Paladin, Double Interceptor. Big Strike. What is that? I don't know about the Big Strike squad. Plus a little Brotherhood Terminator squad. Yeah, this is Best Coast pairings, yeah. Adrax is better, but you can have both, chat. You can take both of them. That's not against the rules. No, I played Vulcan in regular Firestorm, too. That dude just rocks. He's good if you have, like, any number of Redeemers. And he's good if you have He's good if you have any multi-meltas or flamers in your list. I will admit, he mostly synergizes with Land Raider Redeemers. It's that you're not wrong. But Land Raider Redeemers is like the best unit in Space Marines, so it's a good synergy to have. I guess some AdMech. Some people are asking about AdMech. This guy's playing Explorator Maniple. That's okay. What does Explorator Maniple do? Wait. This is not Data Psalm cohort, right? I'm not sure I know what Explorator Maniple does. Oh, this is the one where you choose an objective and you get like Oath of Moment on it, right? Yes. Your reroll wound rolls of 1, targeting enemies on a single objective. And what upgrades does he have? He has 1 janitor. What are these characters? Oh my god. 3 Skitarii Marshals, a Dominus, 2 Engine Seers, and a Manipulus. So the Manipulus is a Lojai. So you get +1 to shoot somebody on your acquisition objective marker. The Dominus is a Janitor, so you get a 4+ invulnerable save while within range of your acquisition marker. And then you can lock your acquisition marker. Oh no, any marker. Oh, that's good. That's a good strat. That's like what war leaders have. That's a really good strat. Your shooting phase. A unit that disembarks from a transport this turn can get +1 to wound. It's kind of a narrow use case, and it's 2 CP. Ew. It is a battle tactic, but you don't have any free strat mechanics. That's so narrow. Why isn't it all units that disembark transports this turn? Or target an enemy unit? That's so weird. You have to disembark, target enemies on your acquisition objective, and pay 2 CP. You get +1. That's too many. Too many riders. Can go 6 inches towards your acquisition objective marker. Dips mechanics infantry unit is shot within 6 inches of a smoke vehicle. You can get smoke. Info slave skull. You can choose another acquisition objective marker, and that also counts as your acquisition objective marker. Okay, that's good. And then they have a reactive charge thing, and then you can go and do a transport. Okay. That's weird. That's a weird detachment. It feels like you're just locked into doing the double objective thing like every turn, right? Like the benefits are good, because you can get yourself defensive benefits for acquisitioning an objective marker in your own deployment zone. And then you can get offensive benefits of targeting enemies on like a objective marker you choose, but it feels like it has a lot of counterplay and a lot of the stratagems aren't that great. Dying to see the data split as Custodes? Dude, I feel you, bro. I'm excited for the data slate. Even for just a shakeup, right? Like, can we talk about something other than, like, Chaos Space Marines for a sec? It's annoying to every week be like, here's the Chaos Space Marine, and we did this with Eldar when the edition came out. We were like, here's the Chaos Space Marine list for the week. It's the same as last week. Moving on, and it's like, come on. And they won 3 tournaments with it. You're like, all right. I would like to see something different, please. That would be nice. Thank you. Double Vanguard, triple Vanguard, and a Ranger unit. 1 Scorpius Dune Rider. Just 1. Okay. 2 Ballistar units, 2 Cataphront Breacher teams. Oh my gosh. 2 Auto Dragoon Crawlers, 2 Traxi Sterilizers, 1 Sidonian, 2 Sidonian Dragoons. Seems good. Solid stuff. Admech code. That's so narrow, yeah. It's so weird. What a weird design space for the faction, where they're just like, hey guys, everything you do is going to be difficult. And you're like, great, I love that. Let's look at some Thousand Suns. Anyone I recognize on Thousand Suns? How many Thousand Suns players, by the way? 31, that's solid. Not really. This is so annoying about Thousand Suns, by the way. 1980 points, and there's not a single fucking thing you can do about it. You're like, I bought all of my enhancements, and no units like cost less than 50 points, so there's nothing I can do with that extra 20. It's like it works every time. It's like how it always works. We just need this Rubric Marine number to go down to like 90 points. I'd be happy with it, probably. So this is all the characters. Infernal Master with Vortex, Armon, Magnus the Red, Demon Prince with Wings, Sorcerer, 2 Sorcerers. 1, 2, 3, 4 Rubric Marines, 1 Rhino, Mutolith Vortex Beast, double Zangor Enlightened, Blue Horrors. Blue Horrors are cool, include. Just a kind of a tough unit. It's nice. Why is the entire Necron's Codex have a 4+ Fiona Pain? Well, fortunately, they have less 4+ Fiona Pains than they did previously. Index Necrons, everything had a fucking 4+ Fiona Pain. Any showing from pre-Codex Dark Angels? Yeah, we looked at some. Some really weird ones. There's one with 18 Blade Guard veterans. They make changes to Imperial Knights in the data site where they get a points drop. I mean, probably. I would expect Imperial Knights to get some big changes for sure. I doubt Chaos Knights will. I could see the big Chaos Knights get a drop, maybe, but Chaos Knights I think are like good enough that they are probably not gonna see too many changes. Are there other units from other armies that have the free rapid ingress? I don't believe anybody does. I think Benatari, it's unique to Benatari. Oh, a 4+ invuln. Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, that's like not unprecedented though, right? There are a lot of armies that are invuln focused. The big knights should get bondsman back for Imperial Knights. That was a stupid change. They knee-jerked super hard because of the Titanic thing, and then nerfed their points, nerfed Titanic, and nerfed the ability, and that was like, well, you didn't need to do all 3 of those things. Like any 2 of those probably would have been too far by itself. It was very stupid. Space Marine Terminators have it, but you can't double cast. Oh, because, well, they have a different ability. Because Terminators teleport home, right? So you have a specific place on the table where you can get Rapid Ingress for free. But it's only next to your marker. They don't do it anywhere. Can we take a look at 6 Sagittars? Or, at 6 Sagittars. Yeah, we can take a look at Votan. It's probably going to be a focus of Sagittars. Oh, here's Commander Cha-Cha from the Discord. He's playing LVO. Double Iron here champion. No other characters. Get out of here, Grimneers and fucking Iron Forge Masters and stuff. Only Iron here champions. If you don't have a hammer, we don't want you. 2 units of Hearthkin Warriors. 5 Sagittars. 2 units of Chthonian Berserks. 2 and here Hearthguard. 12 Hernkin Pioneers. 2 of 6. That's a lot. That is several Hernkin Pioneers. That list sucks to play against, by the way. Just go second and lose. Just get scouted out. Super hard. Let's see. Drew Hotspur, he's from my area. Very good League Zippo 10 player. And here champion Grim Demeanor, a double Grimnir, triple Grimnir.
Calling it Nightsons get 20% off most units in Data Slate. You will.
Ryan, thanks you for the super chat. Sons? I like that it pronounces sons. 20% off most units? There's no way. There's no way they do that. Because Thousand Suns are like, they're like just below the 50% mark, right? I have a sneaking suspicion they won't actually change anything. My gut feeling is that Thousand Suns won't get touched. My desire is that Rubric Marines get points cut. But I have a sneaking suspicion it's not going to happen. Which will make me sad, because they suck so hard right now. Factions are like garbage. How do we think Tau and GSE will fare on the data slate? I don't know if Tau will see too many changes. I think GSE will get super buffed, though. I honestly, if they do mechanical changes, I hope they revert the second wave of changes they made to Cult Ambush. Making it random whether or not you respawn at any point is really stupid. Anyway. We can talk about that after we talk about this Votann list, because there's 30 Hearthkin Warriors. So 3 units of Hearthkin, 3 Sagitors, 1 unit of Chthonian Berserks, triple Land Fortress. So this is a little bit of a mix. Now, a little dangerous, I guess. It's 4 characters and 6 vehicles. The Sagittars give 2 for Bring, and the Land Fortresses give 3. So I guess it's only 39 secondary or 29 secondary if you take both those. So it's probably fine. You don't give up both maxed. Oh, actually no. The Land Fortresses give up 4, right? So that's 12. So you could give 18. Yeah, it's probably fine. I think you'll outscore your opponent if they take fixed secondaries against you, because this list is there's a lot of utility in this list. There's a lot of random little idiots. And I think it's going to be good enough at scoring secondaries by itself that it will be fine. The Grimnir technology is really interesting, though. You can just fill Sagittars with Grimnirs, and they're super hard to kill because they have a million wounds and a 4+ invuln save. If you're right, I'll owe you $5 back. Dude, if you're right, I'll be swimming in RTT prize money, dude. If you get a 20% points drop on Thousand Suns, we back in it, baby. Let's go. Magnus is coming for that booty. No way. No way they change it that hard. It's like, I don't know. They're like close to being good. They just score so shittily. They're just so bad at scoring. Hope Death Guard doesn't get touched. I don't think Death Guard are going to get touched. I think Death Guard are in a perfect spot. They win sometimes, they lose sometimes. Like, they're generally pretty good, but they have a lot of downsides. Like, I think Death Guard are in a really, really interesting place. I like Death Guard right now, actually. I think Death Guard are super cool. Should go to the gym or stay home and eat an entire bag of Doritos? You should go to the gym and then watch anime and eat an entire bag of Doritos. That might be my evening. Although I want to record a video tonight, so we'll see if we can get that done. I had a weird day. I shoveled for a bunch. I shoveled like my whole yard because we had snow today, and then I just got tired, fell asleep until like 5 minutes before the stream. It was not a productive day for me so far. I don't understand why I was so tired. It was weird. If Thousand Suns went down by that much, what would I add? Oh, like infinite utility units. The problem right now is Thousand Suns unit count's really low because if they don't attach characters to their Rubric Marine squads, they don't do anything. Like the whole faction is built around the combination of rubrics and characters. And you can't take one or the other by themselves because they're not effective. So like, I mean, if you got 400 points back, like I'd probably add some vehicles and stuff into my list. But I would also add like potentially multiple cultist units and Zangor Enlightened and maybe demon allies. They only need it like a little bit, like a little tiny bit, like give me 100 points, 150 points maybe, and then like you can add so much scoring into the list. The problem is it's all damage, no scoring right now, and it's no good. It's just no good. Which factions do I think are not going to get touched? It's kind of hard to say because it seems like GW's numbers are like pretty weird. I mean, I guess we can. Well, what does their last meta watch say? It's probably a pretty good thing. It came out after World Champions, so. This is definitely not correct, right? I don't know where these numbers are coming from, but it is what it is. This is November, so this is almost 2 months out of date. I think like these are probably correct. World Eaters are probably higher. Chaos Space Marines are definitely higher. They're definitely with Eldar. I think they're gonna hit Eldar CSM 100%. Necrons are so new. I don't think that they'll hit them. Because usually what they do, and I guess we don't know concretely whether or not this is going to be the game plan for 10th edition, but they used to do 2 FAQs for a new codex, where they would do one that was like bug fixing, which was the first FAQ we got and then they would do like a balanced tweak, like 2 months after release or whatever. So this could be the point at which they do that for Necrons. So we could see a little bit of a change to Necrons, but I have no idea. I think that the factions below those, we may see a tweak to leagues. We may see one for Orcs and World Eaters. And then I think at the bottom, we'd probably see Drukhari and Custodes, and probably Imperial Knights get changed. I don't know where Astra Militarum are, like, in a more realistic set. Look at stat check, I guess. Is this win rate? Adeptus Mechanicus have a 58% win rate? Really? Is that real? No way, dude. These numbers are weird. These are insane numbers. Chaos Demons at 55%. I haven't looked at stat check in ages, actually. But these are insane numbers. Yeah, I think on the bottom side, we'll probably see Imperial Knights definitely get updated for sure, and Drukhari, and probably Custodes. But Custodes are doing okay, at least according to this, but not according to GW's numbers. So we'll probably see Custodes get changed. Astra Militarum we might, on the bottom end. And then the other stuff might just be like quality of life changes across the board. That's what I would expect. Admech will get 10 points off the tall boy. Yeah, that dude is a little bit more expensive than I thought. He doesn't have Infiltrate, right? The Skatros. I thought he would, for sure, and I was like, this guy's going to be amazing. But then he was just like a dude with a gun. I was like, okay. He's just lone operative, right? I think the unit, like, by itself isn't... It's like an okay archetype. Yeah, just lone operative. But I expected way more special abilities. I expected that he would get, instead of this thing, this dumb battle shock check thing, it's so stupid. Instead of that, I expected to see a duplicated Overwatch. Like, I don't know why he doesn't have any Overwatch abilities. Like, what's up with that? And also infiltrate. And then I think it would have been worth 65. But yeah, I could see him drop a little bit. He is just a little bit too expensive for like really not really doing anything. Just being a unit on the table. I mean, a lone operative unit on the table is like a good unit to have, but I don't know if that's good. What makes him a dread sniper? It's his anti-vehicle, of course. He's anti-vehicle. That's what makes him snipe dreads so good. He can do D3 damage to them if they fail their like 3+ armor save. What's up? Love to see points decreases, increases for GSC. Yeah, I would love to see... I don't know if, like, GSC points feel okay. The problem with Genestealer cults is that they were pointed based on their original cult ambush mechanics, and then they changed that. And it's like the same thing that happened to Imperial Knights, right? Where, like, big knights were designed around having these bondsman abilities, and then they were like, we like decided it was a negative play experience, so we got rid of it. And you're like, what are you doing? That was like the core design of the faction, and you just ripped it out. Like, that's insane. That's an insane thing to do. And Genestealer cults feel very much the same way. Like, they are very eminently answerable, but they were also like, well, if you didn't bring the good answer to them, we'll just like screw with their cult ambush super hard so they don't do anything. And you're like, come on, man. What are you doing? I appreciate that they stopped you from being able to string the cult ambush forever. I think that was a good change. That was really stupid when you could cult ambush one dude next to the marker and everyone else is on an objective. But the change to make it so that cult ambush is always random is really dumb. That was not a good change, I think. I think what they should have done... I feel like cult ambush should... I feel like it should always trigger, but you should start with less models in the unit, if that makes sense. Right? And then, like, you maybe get a bonus to it if you're battle line. So instead of constantly cult ambushing, like, 2D, or, like, 20 dudes back, like, maybe you get 2d6 guys back or whatever. So then you could even make it so that they can ambush in the non-battle line units, and it's fine. You're not, like, just punished for taking, like, hypermorphs or whatever. Said that tall black can't ride in a Dune Rider. He should get firing deck if he goes in a Dune Rider, because he just like goes up over the top of the side. That would be my hope. All right. Well, Alex W has been waiting patiently to look at this Ravenwing article. So let's talk about Ravenwing real quick for a sec here. Now that we're done mostly talking about stuff for the upcoming data slates. If we don't have a data slate next week, I guess we'll have LVO results to look at next week, so that'll be fun. But if we don't have a data slate, we might also talk about some data slate stuff. But I'm sure next week we'll also talk about the data slate. So we got a Ravenwing detachment preview here. Leaders of the Dark Angels have been tactical innovators. They've innovated the tactic of being -1 damage. The Inner Circle Task Force includes Deathwing Knights, Terminators, and Belial. The Unforgiven Task Force is back. And then we have Company of Hunters. You're not going to call it Ravenwing Task Force or whatever? Okay. Board control is the name of the game. Detachment rule Masters of Maneuver makes it easy, free from most of the drawbacks of advancing and falling back. So you can shoot, but not charge in a turn that you advance or fall back. That's cool. We also get -1 to hit if you shoot at a Ravenwing unit. And Talon Strike gives you +1 to wound against mounted or infantry characters. Okay. I mean, infantry characters, that's a lot of units, so that's solid. Not many mounted characters, but get wrecked Space Wolves, I guess. Alright, that's solid. +1 to wound against most character units in the game is like a pretty decent ability, though, because that's a lot of the really punchy infantry bricks. Nasty selection of enhancements. The Ravenwing Command Squad's champion has gained the character keyword, allowing the whole unit to attach to Outriders or Ravenwing Black Knights to form a packed-out super squad. That's cool. I like that. So they act as basically like a platoon command squad. That's very different. Master of Maneuver slips into strategic reserves. Isn't that the same name as the detachment ability? Oh, Masters of Maneuver. Okay. That's not confusing at all. Thank you, though. Bear's unit starts in strategic reserve. Its points value does not count towards the combined points value for units. So the combined point limit for units in your army that are in strategic reserve. And you treat the battle round number as being one higher than it actually is. Oh, chat! We get turn 1 strategic reserves. Yuck! That's scary. Now, is that the same templating as the Stormlance one? It is, right? Hunter's Instincts. Yeah, for the purposes of setting a unit up on the battlefield, treat the battle round as one higher than it actually is. That's really good. That's really, really, really good. Plus, you get to... You don't count towards the limit, which is big because if you do it on a big, huge unit, that's probably going to be a lot. I guess the interesting question is whether there are other characters you can add to that. Like, can you add Samael into that big super brick? I don't know. Outriders get the battle line keyword in a Company of Hunters attachment. Okay. And Landspeeder, Benchen, Stark Shred, Dark Talons, Nephilim Jump Fighters are all back. Cool. Looking good. The real question is going to be, like, how much damage you can get out of this army. And I guess you have Landspeeder Vengeances. Like, those are pretty solid. If you're focusing on Ravenwing stuff. And you could also just play non-Ravenwing units in the backline, too. So we'll have to see what the full codex looks like, but that's a solid start. Those are good abilities. And advance and shoot is always solid because then everything gets assault for advancing and doing actions and stuff, which is always good. They're going to kill the Juggernaut Riders? I know. I'm so sad. My Rendmaster. No! He's a mounted character. Why couldn't he be a vehicle? It's so sad. That list already lost, though, chat, so it's bad. It lost to Hunter Cohort. I couldn't deal with getting locked into my deployment zone by 60 Skitarii Vanguard. It was very sad. Is LVO using the Necron FAQ? To my knowledge, yes, it is. Yeah, the points cap exemption is definitely a big deal. You can tell why they did it, though. I wonder if that was, like, came out in testing of the Stormlands. Although, to be, like, realistically, if Stormlands wasn't designed around Thunderwolf Cavalry, the maximum unit size of units you could attach characters into is very small, for mounted characters anyway. But that's a design flaw in Stormlands. Stormlands wasn't designed very well, I don't think. All right, chat. I think with that, we will probably move to wrap things up here. This is a pretty good discussion. A lot of interesting stuff talk about LVO. I'm excited to see LVO coverage over the weekend. I will probably be live over on the Purple channel, and we'll just do some watch-alongs. I may have some games planned and stuff like that. But I plan to sit down and watch some of the games on the live stream. So if you want to come hang out with me over there, please come do so. Otherwise, I hope everyone who's going to LVO has a wonderful time and has some super good games. And I'm excited for the results, and I'm also excited for a data slate maybe next week. Ooh, that'd be exciting! I love that. If you can res an ATV every turn by attaching a command squad, that'd be great. Oh, with the apothecary, that'd be good. Yeah, you have to survive, and you don't have the -1 to hit and wound thing like Stormlance does, so you're a little squishy. And you'll probably have Armor of Contempt, and you can be -1 to hit, so like maybe it's fine. But that would be good, yeah. Don't think Space Marines should have access to all the generic detachments in the main book if they have their standalone codex. It's definitely a big benefit for Space Marines. But if it's only 2 or 3 detachments, it's not like the end of the world. It definitely makes specific chapters super strong, which is a little sad, but it is what it is. It feels like they stopped trying to make the chapters like at all equally balanced. They're like, it's fine. Space Wolves and Dark Angels is just probably going to be the best, and we're just going to leave it at that. And you're like, okay, fair enough. Any ideas on who's streaming LVO games? Well, I imagine Frontline Gaming will have a stream, right? And I believe that Wargames Live will be there too. That is what happened last year, so I imagine that'll be the same. Yeah, I'm excited. It's an interesting meta without the kind of like normal brace of really strong players that we've seen. It's kind of like anybody's game. I haven't gone through every single player on the list, but like I don't recognize too many names, which is kind of exciting. Although I'm sure there's going to be some really strong people who rise to the top, of course. Ben Sherwin's there, it looks like. Yeah, Ben Sherwin's there, playing back to Black Templars. Ben Jones is there. He's also very good. I know somebody said Brad Chester was there. Yeah, Brad Chester's there. So yeah, there's still reasonably well recognized names. Cool. All right, chat. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out. I should have games scheduled later this week on the Purple channel. I don't have the details yet. I know that we do have a finals game locked in for Friday, and I'm trying to schedule games between now and then as well. So a lot of exciting stuff to watch over there. I hope you join me. So I'll see you over there later this week. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me. Remember to keep it classy, folks, and have happy wargaming.